The plan was for me and my cousin Terrence to spend a week at his family's old fishing cabin up the coast, somewhere quiet. Unplug, catch a few fish, drink too much, that kind of thing. But the day before we were set to leave, Terrence texted me saying something came up at work. "Go on ahead," he wrote. "I'll drive up Friday." That's how I ended up there, alone. I needed the break anyway. Work had been draining the life out of me, and I couldn't remember the last time I went a full day without checking my phone. So I packed up, threw everything in the back of my SUV, and drove north. Up the winding forest highways, past shuttered gas stations and foggy rest stops, until I hit the coast. The cabin sat right on the edge of Blue Jaw Cove, a half-moon stretch of water tucked behind a wall of wind-bent pines. I remembered it being peaceful, isolated. But this time, it felt too quiet. I got there around 3 p.m., and everything looked just like it had when we were kids, except older. The shutters were warped, the dock had a lean to it, even the sand felt gray. Inside, I had to shake dust off the blankets and yank sheets off the furniture like I was waking the place up from a coma. The fridge was still running. A few old beer bottles were lined up like forgotten soldiers on the windowsill. I made a quick dinner, cracked open a warm beer, and listened to the trees creak in the wind. That first night passed without anything weird happening. I stayed up late, reading a paperback I found in the closet, then crashed on the old couch under 2 blankets. The wind howled a little after midnight, and I thought I heard something tap the glass once, but it might have been a branch. Either way, nothing came of it. When I woke up the next morning, the sky was overcast but clear. I spent most of that day walking the beach, just clearing my head, skipping stones, letting my mind go numb for a while. At one point, I found a fish on the porch, a full mackerel, fresh, like it had just been caught, lying there with its mouth open like it had been dropped mid-thought. There were no footprints, no claw marks, just the fish. I didn't go back inside right away. Later that afternoon, I walked the shoreline again, circling the edge of the cove where the tide pulled in slow and heavy. That's when I saw it. Something on the rocks across the water. At first I thought it was a seal, but it didn't move right. It didn't move at all. Just this dark, still shape, half lowered into the tide, with what looked like long, matted hair trailing down the stone. And then I blinked, and it was gone. That afternoon, I took the old motorboat out. It was still tied up at the far end of the dock, half covered in a torn blue tarp. The gas tank was half full. Figured I'd circle the cove, maybe go out past the mouth and get a look at the open water. It was calm out there, hypnotic. I must have fallen asleep, still tired from the drive. I woke up just before dusk. The sky was already bleeding orange, and the shoreline looked farther away than I remembered. I turned the key. Nothing. The motor coughed, then died. I tried again, just clicking. I cursed under my breath and grabbed the oars. The air felt thick, like everything was holding its breath. Halfway through rowing back, the water turned black. The sun had dropped fast, and fog had started rolling in without warning. Thick, soupy stuff that clung to my neck. Then I heard it, a sound like humming, but far underwater, low and wet, like a voice singing through a snorkel. I stopped rowing. The oars drifted in the water beside me, barely making a ripple. I sat frozen, listening. The sound came again, closer this time. A second voice joined it, then a third. It didn't sound human. It sounded like it wanted to be. I leaned over the side of the boat and aimed my flashlight into the water. Nothing, just silt and shadow. Then something touched the bottom of the hull, a scrape, like fingernails dragging across metal. I shouted, splashed the oar in, started rowing fast, and then the boat lurched. Something had grabbed it, or grabbed me, I don't know. The next thing I knew, I was in the water, pulled under so fast the breath got torn from my lungs. It was cold, blindingly cold, but something was holding me up, not dragging me deeper, just holding me. I couldn't see her at first, just hair that floated all around me like seaweed. Then I realized my flashlight was still clutched in my hand, the beam barely cutting through the dark. That's when I saw her face. She looked almost human, pale, with big dark eyes and lips that didn't close all the way. When she opened her mouth, there were no teeth, just cartilage ridges, like the inside of a stingray's jaw. And she was singing, directly into my face. Her skin shimmered every time the flashlight flickered. The song didn't have words, but I could feel what it meant. It said, "You are not supposed to be here." Then it said, "But now you are." Then she kissed me. I don't remember how I got back. I just remember coughing up water on the cabin floor, drenched and barefoot, the door wide open behind me. My backpack was gone, so were my shoes. The boat never came back. I stayed inside the rest of the night, half conscious, wrapped in a sheet. But I kept hearing something, not outside, inside me, a low hum at the base of my throat, like a tune I'd forgotten. By morning, I could barely walk. My legs ached, the skin behind my ears burned, my hands stayed pruned like I'd never left the water. When I showered, I found a translucent patch under my ribs that wasn't there before. It shimmered in the light. And something else. When I held my breath, I could still hear the humming. Not outside, not even in my head, in my chest, like my lungs had learned a new song. I haven't left the cabin yet. Every time I try to pack, something stops me. My chest tightens, my ears ring, my skin doesn't feel like skin. My lungs don't breathe right unless I'm submerged. When I run water over my hands, they don't wrinkle, they smooth out. I keep walking down to the dock without realizing it. I keep humming. Terrence is supposed to arrive tomorrow. I wanted to warn him, I really did. I know he and everyone else will be looking for me, but I don't belong in this body anymore. I can't survive here anymore, not on land. My skin doesn't feel like skin, my lungs don't breathe right unless I'm submerged. So tonight, I walked down to the water, and I kept walking, until I was pulled under, to my new home, beneath the sea.